Hi, I'm Steve Douglas and I'm the Chairman of SMATS Group. Today we're going to have a bit of a Q&A session with one of Australia's most awarded and successful brokers, Helen Avis, who heads up our finance team at Specialist Mortgage. Helen, welcome along today. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Helen, I'm very keen to sort of get an idea. Obviously you've been in the industry for quite a while. When did you start your journey as an Australian mortgage broker?
In 2003, and I started with Specialist Mortgage, so this year I'll be knocking up 23 years.
Wow, that's an incredible achievement with the one company being successful in that regard. So fantastic. We've been incredibly proud to have you as the head of department there for this long. How many loans do you think you've done over this period?
Over 4,500 now, so clocking up.
Wow, that qualifies as a little bit of experience then. I think that probably puts you right up as probably one of the highest volume writers, and most of those loans would be for what type of client?
Initially expats, because obviously in Singapore based, and a lot of clients in Singapore, and then grew to Hong Kong and the Middle East and the UK and even the US now. So obviously expats go home, so we've got offices all around Australia now, and dealing with clients who've moved back, plus also their children.
So we've seen a lot of people generally claim to be expat experts for lending, but you probably genuinely are with all that time, volume and experience.
Yeah.
What probably set you apart as being an expat specialist?
Well, I guess that probably 99% of the time I was doing expat lending and also foreigner lending. For certainly the first 15 years. We then expanded into doing resident lending. So, having just done consistently expat lending, you get to know the banks, the relationships, to basically help clients buy their property.
And obviously over that period of time, a lot of the clients that were expats, for that period started heading back.
Yeah.
So you've got representation now all over Australia.
Yes.
So do you feel, what sort of drives you to continue to keep pushing your standards to the highest level?
I really enjoy what I do, helping people, get their dream property. It's a very nice feeling, to do that.
I know I've had the privilege of travelling around the country often with you and getting to visit a lot of the clients that have bought properties, and the look on their faces is quite overwhelming when they were able to buy it early at lower price, and of course the market's done very well.
Yes.
Do you get much feedback from clients in terms of their fear of the market being high, or are they still quite active and keen to buy?
Obviously, that the property market has gone up a lot. Especially over since COVID, I guess, so the last 5 years. But people still need a house home to live in. So
this is true. We all need a roof over our heads.
Yeah.
Okay. And with 23 years under your belt, do you now start to see the next generation coming through? Have you got clients that have got kids now? Coming
absolutely.
To you?
Yeah. Doing a lot of first homeowner for clients' kids. Yeah.
That's exciting, going over those multi-generations. So.
Yeah, makes me feel old.
It's true. None of us are getting any younger, that's for sure. Well, that's fantastic. Again, we really have nothing but admiration and respect for you in the organisation, and I know the industry holds you at the highest standard, including your recent Hall of Fame award, which was a career milestone and significant achievement. So congratulations.
Yeah, it was quite overwhelming.
Oh, it's terrific. Well deserved. We might shift gears now into just a few probably questions on lending.
Yeah.
And I suppose what I'd probably start with is it worth clients at the moment considering whether to go fixed interest rates or should they stay variable? What's your general view on one or the other?
Yeah, I've had a lot of clients contact me recently with that question. Obviously, with the rate rise we've had already this year, all the banks have now put their fixed rates up at least twice, some 3 times. So the fixed rate is now getting on for 0.5% more than the variable rate, which means that we need another 2 rate rises in order for you to be breaking even. So it really depends on each client's view of what the interest rates are going to do, because, you know, I mean, I can't give that advice. I can only give them the pros and cons and, you know, my opinion. It's their decision as to what they want to do.
And often it's a question if they want certainty or they
Yes.
want to just, you know, see how it goes. But
Yes.
interesting times. I mean, you know, we've had obviously enjoyed, you know, during COVID in particular, some very low interest rates. But
Yes.
you know, that took a pandemic, so I don't think we'll have that happen again. But you never know.
Yeah, and there's the remaining clients that are coming off their 2.99 fixed rates, you know, this year. So
did you find most of your clients took those low fixed rates when
absolutely.
they happened?
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, was there any clients that regretted not doing that?
I think the regret was that they took 3 and they should have taken 5.
So generally speaking, you know, obviously you can't give advice on that, but generally speaking, would you say that fixing your rate is normally best to do when rates are lower, not on the way up?
Yes. I mean, but again, you know, if you fix it at the start of the rise and the rates continue to go up, then at least you've locked it in. But you just, you know, I remember in 2008 with the GFC, the interest rates went up to 9%, and people had fixed at 8% for like 3 years, and then of course they came crashing back down. And I remember one client trying to get out of it, and the break fee was $80,000.
Wow, that's very expensive. So you've got to be very, very
Yeah.
clear why you're doing it and make sure you don't do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And fear is never a good reason. They say that in investments as well, but interest rates just as equally so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Do you find is it difficult for an Aussie expat to get a loan in the current lending environment?
I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of banks that will lend to people with foreign income, but we do have a core group of lenders that we use on a regular basis, and again, got that close relationship with these lenders to make sure that, you know, we get it approved.
And the advantage of using a broker like yourself is that they get to review all the loans available, I suppose, rather than just asking one bank and being turned down if that policy
Yes.
doesn't allow.
Yes.
So there's always going to be an option for someone, but the good thing there, they'll find out exactly what they can or can't do if they talk to someone like yourself.
Yes. Yes. Exactly right.
Fantastic. What about for a foreign investor? Is it difficult for them to get a loan to buy a property in Australia?
The banks have stopped lending to foreigners now. That happened sort of back in 2015, 16, 17 was the last lender that shut the door. And so we've only got mortgage funders. So there are options, but they're expensive, well, more expensive than the banks.
That's sad for Australia. I mean, like foreign investment is a critical part of supply in the market, and probably what a lot of people don't realise is with lack of funding, that's one of the reasons it's led to the current, as they call it, affordability crisis, because those foreign investors were providing rental properties, etc. So
Yeah.
a bit sad that the government changed, you know, or encouraged banks to change policy there, which is disappointing, and hopefully one day it'll turn back around.
Yeah, and with the foreigner stamp duty and the increased FIRB fees, it makes it an expensive proposition for them.
It does. I mean, with SMATS, we've recently launched our SMATS Residential Property Fund, which, you know, gives those foreigners an opportunity to go in there without those costs. But, you know, we'd still rather they have their own property and invest, but at least we have options for them.
Yes.
Excellent. And what are the main things that banks look for in approving a loan?
Well, obviously it's based on the leftover funds each month after you've earned your money and spent your expenses each month and your current liabilities. So the banks look at, it's got nothing to do with your assets. It's purely based on how much you earn, how much you spend and what's left, and they determine how much you can borrow based on what's left.
So it's not really how big your deposit is, it's how much you can afford to keep, you know, the loan repayments going with.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you find that the banks accept most forms of income?
Only employed income for an expat, but obviously for a resident, self-employed, investment income, no problem.
And will they use the rental towards that calculation?
Yes.
Excellent. So hopefully, again, if they talk to you, you're going to cover all those bases and they can at least take the mystery away.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know, how much generally can someone borrow if they want to buy an Australian property?
An expat, generally 80%, although I do have a bank that will go to 90%, but their policy is quite tough, so passing servicing is also tough. But for a resident, up to 95%.
Wow, that's incredible. And
Yeah.
a foreigner?
But they can also borrow 80%.
Wow, so there's
Yeah.
good options still available in the market. So
Yeah.
again, they just need to check and see with you.
Yes.
Is there much difference between having an interest-only loan and a principal and interest loan?
The interest rate is different. So basically it's about 0.2 to 0.25 higher to get an interest-only loan. The banks have made it difficult now for interest-only loans due to best interest duty and responsible lending. So most people now choose principal and interest loans. They still have some clients with interest only, but for a specific reason.
And what sort of loan term would you generally expect?
Well, for up to 5 years for interest only, but the total loan term is 30 years. So, if you take a 30-year loan term with the 5 years interest only, the bank then calculates your borrowing capacity based on the remaining 25 years once you go to principal and interest.
But if you have a long loan term like 30 years, that would mean that your repayment would generally be lower at the start.
Yes. Yeah, so the repayment ends up being higher if you take an interest-only loan to start off with.
And what would happen if I wanted to pay it off early inside that 30 years?
Oh, that's not a problem. As long as you're on a variable rate, you can pay it off whenever you like. It's only if you're on a fixed rate that you'll be up for potential break fees.
So I wouldn't have to pay a closing down fee or interest?
Well, you have a discharge fee, which is about $500, depending on lender. But no, there's no penalty costs.
Fantastical. And like using a broker like yourself, how would you generally go about looking after a client?
Well, having an initial conversation, basically mainly on Zoom or WhatsApp. People aren't really interested in coming to see you face to face these days because it's acceptable for digital. And then, just collecting information, finding out what they want to do. Collecting their supporting documents and looking at borrowing capacity and giving them the options as to what will satisfy their requirements to buy what they want to buy.
And you're one of the top brokers in Australia. Is it expensive to come and use yourself and get you to help me with the loan?
Well, we don't charge a fee. The industry standard is we get paid by the bank, so yeah, we don't charge a fee.
And is it the same from bank to bank, so you're not worried about which one to use?
It might vary, but to be honest, I've never really looked at that. It's all about who the best lender is for the client.
So they can come and take advantage of all of your many, many years of experience and the skills that you have and not have to worry about the cost.
Yeah.
And I believe you've been awarded many different awards for your service standards, so they've really got nothing to lose, which is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, Helen, it's been a treat having you here. I really enjoy chatting to you, and thank you very much for all the great work and service you've done to your clients and the organisation and the industry generally. So best of luck for the future and keep up the good work.
Thank you.